Yo, what's up, everybody? Hopefully the audio won't be too horrible. I got the windows down. I'm in my pickup truck. I trained two different guys today. Trained one guy on how to use the winch truck and another guy on how to use the double rail. You know, those are my favorites. Um, Anyways, we had a decent weekend. This is Monday, the 15th. I'm not even sure. And it's the end of the day. I'm headed home now. We're done. We're done. I kind of got off a little early today. Got off at 2:30, so little earlier than I'd like to be off, but whatever. I got shit I got to do at home. My daughter has dance class today, and I have been out of town every single Monday. I'm not going to dance class, but I'm gonna hold on to my boy while they go to dance class because it's kind of a pain to not really a pain, but it's just like she'd rather not have him there, just because it's crowded and whatnot at the dance studio. We had a good weekend. We had a really good weekend. Let's see, Saturday I mowed. I threw my weed eater across the lawn. I did do that. I did do that. I lost my cool a little bit. I was very upset. This is a weed eater, and it was having problems already. But then I saw that the fuel lines were cracked. So it took me a while, but I had took the fuel lines off the weed eater I was going to use for my son's mini bike. Took all the fuel lines off of that one because they're still in good shape. Put them on this one, right? Problem solved. No, not at all. I don't know. I got it to fire up, but it was still being a piece of fucking shit. It would not. I mean, I let it sit there and idle. It was warmed up. I made sure the choke was off, everything, and it just kept dying and dying and dying and dying. And so I threw the bitch. I was very upset. Not very happy about my actions that I did there, but you know what? Fuck it. Don't really give a shit. I threw the motherfucker. I said I'm not weed eating. Grabbed the chainsaw. That thing fired right up. I said, thank the Lord I have something. Some of this lawn equipment works good. You know, my lawnmower works pretty good, but it bogs down. Anyways, I got the chainsaw. It's been sitting in the shed for months. It hasn't been fired up in a long time, actually. Not a year, but close to. It's been sitting around. So I pulled it out, fired right the fuck up. And the second stick I tried to fucking cut, the fucking chain fell off. I was like, God damn it. So I sat there, I went over and I sharpened the chain, and then I like cleaned out all the gunk, you know, chainsaws, got all the gunk cleaned out, and then got it all put back together. Everything is good. I wasn't sure. I didn't even test to see how tight the chain was earlier, but I knew I put it on there pretty good. And no, it fucking fell off again. I hope the bar isn't fucked up. But I definitely gave up. Right after that happened, I said, all right, we're done here. I'm not spending any more time focusing on this shit. So I mowed. That went well. That went as good as it possibly could have gone. And then I broke down all them boxes. I was talking about breaking down boxes. This is probably a really boring episode for new listeners. If you're out there, sorry. Things will get interesting. Just hold on tight. Cleaned out my garage a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Got a lot of shit done, taken care of, and then I don't know. I don't even know what else we did Saturday. Sunday, woke up and my wife wanted to take my son over to her mom's house, And she said, but I only want to take one of them because trying to watch both of them is a pain in the ass. So I took them. I took my daughter, and we had a daddy-daughter day. It was supposed to be more of a work on daddy's truck type of day, but it ended up being. I gotta roll the window up. I don't know. I guess I don't really have to roll them up a little bit. I don't want to heat myself up too much in here. Anyways, yeah, we had a good. Me and my daughter, we don't hang out one on one all that often. I'm usually hanging out with both of them. Even me and my son, we don't. There's not a lot of one on one time with the kids. It's usually both of them, all of us, something like that. So I took my daughter. We went over to a play place, the Burger King play place, so she could run and play. And she ate all of her food. I was so proud of her. A lot of times when we go out to eat and stuff, she doesn't eat at all. But that was one of the things I had to tell her to keep her from crying when mom and brother left. I was like, we're gonna go to a play place. Of course, my son heard that, and he was not. He was like, what? Like, sorry, dude, you're going with mom. And anyways, we went to a play place, ate some food, went and got ice cream, went to a park. We were just having all sorts of good times. At the park, there was a B-2 bomber that kept circling us. So that was pretty exciting. We could sit there and watch that thing. And yeah, we went and got ice cream at the end. And my wife and my son ended up showing up over there at the place. So we all got ice cream and had a good time. I don't know. It was a good weekend. It was a decent weekend. Saturday. That's where I was lost. I was like, I know I did something else on Saturday. I worked, and the one easy job turned into two easy jobs. But I don't know. It wasn't a big deal. It was just a lot of fucking paperwork and recording shit. And one of our other employees had showed up out there, and he was the one that got down into a hole. It was underneath an elevator. It's a giant freight elevator, but it's at a place where they make cars, so you got to be able to fit like a fucking truck inside there. So it's a big fucking elevator, and everybody coming to a stop. Um, Underneath the elevator, after they lifted it up, it was like full of water and hydraulic fluid and shit that had spilled underneath it, or whatever. They have a sump pump, but I can only imagine why it was clogged. A bunch of fucking bullshit thrown down in this pit. So they just wanted it cleaned up because they were going to find the leak and fix it or whatever they were doing. And yeah, I did that job. It took a lot longer it took 5 hours to do that job, but we got it done. And then we were able to go over and do our super easy job, which the guy I was working with, he's a great guy, but I was like, man, we should park inside, and then we don't have to like carry all of our equipment at all. Like, we just move it out of the back of the truck right into the area we're working. And he said, nah, man, we park outside. And he parked so far away from the door. So I was trying to carry, a couple of waters, because once you go in there, you're not really coming back out. So I was trying to carry a couple of waters, a tripod, which is like a 6-foot tripod deal that we can hook a guy to, my tablet, and all the clipboard and all the paperwork. I'm trying to carry all this bullshit in. I'm not doing 2 trips. Uh, but anyways, I'm just bitching is what I'm doing here. We got in there. We got that job done. We were done by midnight, so it wasn't a horrible work day. And then I got to ride home, which was really fun. But I'm always worried that like all the headlights I see are going to be a cop. So it's like I'm more willing to have fun and be a little bit more free out on the road during the day when I can see everything, but there's more traffic. But at night there's less traffic and you have a lot more freedom. But I feel like every fucking car I see is going to be a cop, and it's like, I don't know. I don't want to go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit and fucking get a speeding ticket in the middle of the night, after, like all the fucking work I just did went to a speeding ticket. I don't need that shit I don't need that on me right now. So anyways, I just had a nice leisurely ride home in the middle of the night, and it was kind of warm, kind of chilly in spots, but it was nice. And then yeah, so that was Saturday. Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all. Trying to think of anything else going on. I don't know. Yeah, today I helped a guy work on, or I helped a couple people learn how to use some equipment that we got. It went well. One of the guys, I'm not super. Oh no, they got into a crash. I didn't get into a crash. Somebody else got. There's a semi rear-ended a flatbed pickup, and they're done for. They're stuck. They're right in the middle of the fucking lanes. It's like, I'm pretty sure your shit still runs. Can you please move it? Whatever. Um, yeah, the first guy I trained, we were having a little bit of trouble. He was talking about how he knew how to shift a semi and everything, but he was still having a lot. He's like, man, this thing it's weird to drive this thing. And then he wanted me to drive it home or back to the shop because we drove it about an hour out. And all we had to do was move a frac tank. There's a clean, empty frac tank sitting on site, and they wanted it moved out of the way, but they didn't want to get rid of it. So we moved it out of the way for him. And yeah, he drove out there. I mean, he did pretty good, but it was like he was talking like he knew how to drive one, and then it wasn't going super well. It went fine enough. We got out there, and then he was like, "No, you need to drive it to go back." And so I hop in it and I look, and he's got the fucking Jake brake button turned on. I was like, "Oh, well, that's probably the reason you were having trouble shifting. You had the fucking Jake brake on." Now the Jake brake is like a brand, so it's not necessarily a Jake brake. I don't know what brake is on there, but it's just an engine brake. And yeah, I get in there. I was like, "You had this fucking thing on." But anyway, no, he's a good guy. I was showing him how to run pick up the frac tank and drop it off, and he did really good. He did really, really good. And there was a containment that was all nasty. It had a bunch of shit all in it. It was gross. So we just kind of folded that out of the way because I was under the impression we were coming back. We were going to be back there tomorrow, Tuesday, to clean everything because there's another frac tank out there that's dirty, and they were going to bring a pressure washer out there and they were going to be able to clean it up. No, not at all. Well, no, they are going to do that, but I got a different job now. It's like, yeah, you're not doing that job no more. But we did go pick up with a different guy. We went to go pick up some back boxes for that job. And this guy, he used to work for the railroad and stuff, and I don't know. I was like, "Hey, you ever heard of Holcher?" And he's like, "Oh, those fucking dumbasses." I'm like, "Whoa, easy, bud." I mean, I don't know much about it. I didn't work with them long enough to really get to know anybody that well, but I mean, I feel like we were the only people that knew what the fuck we were doing when we went out to these job sites and shit. He's like, "No, they're fucking idiots." Now, he knew Holcher after I didn't work there when he was working there. This kid's he's 24 years old. But, I don't know, just, I was working with him driving the truck, and I kept telling him, I was like, "Hey, if you turn sharp, you gotta look out the back window. We're in a day cab." was like, you gotta look out that back window and make sure your hydraulic lines aren't getting snagged on anything. And so I was just kind of, but he seemed like he knew what he was doing. So I was just like, all right, cool. You just keep doing what you're doing. Just make sure, keep an eye. And this guy, he's worked for us for a while. I've never met him. You know, I've been out of town doing my own thing. Right as we're pulling into the fucking place to pick up the tanks, I didn't notice, but he did not look to see if his hydraulic cables were snagged on anything, and he snapped off. There's like a pressure gauge on one of the hydraulic tanks, and the hose somehow got up underneath it. And whenever he made a sharp left-hand turn, after making a sharp right-hand turn, he made a sharp left-hand turn, and it ripped that gauge off, and it was to the hydraulic tank. And I mean it's in recirc. I guess it's in a recirculation mode or something. I don't know, but it spit hydraulic fluid out all over the fucking place. It wasn't until he was trying to back up to the containers, and I was looking in the mirror watching him, and I was like, "What? Hey, hold on!" And I said, "Stop!" And I hopped out and I looked, and it's spitting hydraulic fluid out. And I thought he had broke a hydraulic line. I thought he caught it on there's a piece of metal down there. I thought he caught the hydraulic line on that piece of metal, and it was just squirting out. Turns out it was the gauge on the hydraulic tank that he broke off, and then of course, you know, the pressure of the hydraulic fluid against the gauge is what it reads off of. So as soon as that broke off, it was just squirting hydraulic fluid fucking everywhere. And this wasn't until we were backing up. I mean, we lost a good amount of hydraulic fluid all over the fucking ground. Like the whole place that we went to, we did a big loop around their whole parking lot, and then he had to back up like 3 times to get to the containers. And the whole time, it's just spitting hydraulic fluid out. And I was like, God damn it, dude. I was like, were you watching? He's like, yeah, I was watching. I was like, so you watched it rip the fucking thing off, and you just decided to keep going? Like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't say that, but because it's an accident, obviously, but it's just like, damn, dude, you over here talking all this smack like you're fucking big, bad, you know anything and everything, everybody else is a dumbass. And then I tell you what, like, basically I give you one thing to do, is watch your hydraulic lines. And then he fucking snaps them off. And he was just making he was making wide corners, which I'm all for. I'm all for somebody making like extra wide corners just to make sure you're not going to run over a curb or something. This guy was he was taking them like as wide as he possibly could every single time, and I was just like, dude, what are you doing? And he's, I don't know, he's a little slow too, like just driving wise, because we were talking about a job that he does up in Des Moines, and he's like, yeah, I went out to Des Moines. I left the shop at 5 a.m. and I didn't get to the landfill until 7, and the landfill was closed. And I was like, oh, that's like a 10-hour job max for me. Like I can be completely done in like 10 hours. He's like, oh no, they got construction now. And I'm pretty sure I've been up that highway recently. And I didn't. He's like, they're working on all the bridges and stuff. I was like, oh, is there like a detour? He's like, no, it just like goes down to one lane. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? I'm like, this guy, he's got to be a really slow driver. Because, I mean, even like, we almost hit red light. We waited at red lights, and we almost hit the red light before he would go. I'm like, dude, the light's green. And he's like, yeah, I know. And he'd still sit there. And then, I'm like, what the hell are you doing, dude? They're just super slow. But, oh well, we had a mechanic like that. He acted like he knew anything and everything. Like, whenever he was interviewing and he had just got the job, I had walked in there into the office, and he said, which truck is your least favorite? And I was like, probably 106. He's like, why? What's wrong with it? I was like, I don't know. It's just kind of old and stuff, you know. It's not as comfortable to ride around in. He's like, well, I tell you what, I'm gonna go fix everything. I can fix anything and everything. And soon we found out that he had no tools. And he's like, I'm gonna buy a tool. He's like, I need to buy a bunch of tools and stuff. I was like, yeah, we could set up a table or something. Because I mean, you could tell this guy was not exactly all there. But I was like, yeah, you should probably like focus on buying tools and putting them on it, like just having a small little area to put them, get all your tools, and then worry about your toolbox. He's like, no, 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 I'm gonna get a toolbox first. So he spent all of his money on a toolbox and had nothing. I'm like, how are you gonna fix anything? You should have bought some fucking a socket set or something. I don't know. Like, you don't have any tools. He has nothing. It's just an empty toolbox. So that was an interesting time. Oh, anyways, that guy, we just got out of winter, and I was like, because he had a Mazda something. I was like, is that thing front wheel drive or all wheel drive? He's like, it's rear wheel drive. I'm like, it's rear wheel drive? I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know they made that Mazda rear wheel drive. And he's like, actually, I don't know what it is. I'm like, oh, you're a mechanic. You like work on vehicles for a living, and you don't even know if your personal vehicle is, you don't even know what drive it is? He's like, well, how would I find out? I was like, do a burnout? I don't know, man. Like, we just got out of winter. You didn't notice it's like sliding around or whatever? Like, it's really easy to tell if it's front wheel drive or all wheel drive or rear wheel drive in the wintertime. He's like, well, it got around really good. Like, it never slipped at all. I was like, oh, all right. He's like, well, how would I be able to tell? I was like, well, you could jack it up and look underneath it and see if it's got CV axles on the front or the back or both. I was like, or you could just do it. We're in a gravel parking lot, just do a burnout. And it was a 6-speed car, and he fucking did a burnout bout, took out the fucking fence. I was like, oh shit. I was like, you are front wheel drive, bud. He's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's all wheel. I'm like, no, it's front wheel drive, dude. You just did a fucking rolling burnout almost through the fence. If it was all wheel drive, either your all wheel drive is fucked up, or it's just front wheel drive, because that, I don't know. Anyways, he didn't last very long. He's gone. And he's also a guy that he repaired one of my trucks, or it was a truck I had taken out, and it needed towed. Because I drove it all the way out. I was headed towards St. Louis, and we kept dying on me. And the first time we had the mechanics bring it back to the shop, they said they fixed it, and they sent me out in the same truck on the same route the next week. It fucked up in the same exact spot again, and I had it towed back to the shop again. I was like, I don't know what it is, dude. But anyways, the second time I had it towed, we had there was a container on the truck. It was a roll-off truck. Sorry, I'm hiccuping here. It was a roll-off truck, and it had a container full of hazardous waste on it. So, and they wanted me to take it back to the place, and I said, all right, well, it'll run fine for like 4 hours. So I'll just drive it over there. But they towed it, so you got to put the drive shaft back in. So this fucking guy, he's under the truck for like an hour to put on a U-bolt. Not to put on a U-bolt, just to reattach a U-bolt. It's literally 4 bolts with caps. And he's under there for so fucking long. And I'm like, dude, are you done? He's like, yeah, it's done. And I get in it and I start driving. And I make it all the way to the place where I need to drop this container off. But it felt different. But I didn't notice it a lot, but it did definitely feel different. And I went ahead and I got the container dropped and everything, and then I'm leaving, and by the time I hit like 30 miles an hour, the truck is just shaking violently. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I pull over and I look, and the guy put the caps on backwards for the U-bolt. So the U-bolt caps, they have one little tab on them, and that's to keep the U-bolt kind of centered, and the caps on, and I mean, it's just the way they are, you know. He put them on fucking backwards. You know how hard it is to put those things on backwards? There's barely enough threads that you got to reach the fucking holes. That's what he was under there for an hour for. He's putting them on fucking backwards. So I called up our other mechanic. I said, hey, you're fucking super fucking mechanic guy. Fuck this shit up. And yeah, I don't know if that was the reason he got fired, but he definitely got fired. He's gone. And yeah, it's just, anyways, this guy isn't showing those signs. He seems like he's actually got a decent head on his shoulders, but it's still like, I don't know, he's been running a 53-foot dry van, parking them at docks, is what he's mainly been doing. And I was like, yeah, just back up to this container. We're in a big open lot. I was like, yeah, just back up to the container. And he gets up there fucking crooked as shit and sideways and off track. I was like, dude, you're going to need to get straighter than that. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, who's training who here? I was like, just get out of the way. And I fucking hopped in the truck and got it lined up. And then, I don't know. It was just like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know about him. I mean, I think he'll be fine. I think he's been talking a lot of smack, acting like he's going to be one of the best employees we ever have. But I don't see that happening. Maybe eventually, but I don't know. He's also only 24, so I don't know. Got to give him a little slack, I guess. But I don't know. I just could not believe he fucking broke off that fucking. And then we had to go back to the shop to have a plug put in. And I'm like, dude, yeah, we got to unhook the hydraulic lines. You are not allowed to drive with hydraulic lines connected. You're going to fucking bust them out. Because you're not watching. That's all you got to do, dude, is just look out the back window and watch while you're turning. A little, just glance back there and make sure nothing's getting caught, Because, I mean, I've never broken a hydraulic line. I've had one get caught before, but I was watching it. So I was able to stop, hop out, and move the line out of the way of whatever was getting caught on, and then continue on. The only thing I broke in regards to that, there was one time that I had unhooked a trailer, and I don't really remember, it was a while back. I don't remember if somebody else had came up to it and started connecting it right after I disconnected it, but I pulled out from underneath the trailer and the legs were down, so that's not what I'm talking about, but the airlines ripped off. I ripped off both airlines on this truck, and I had just disconnected it. And I don't remember if maybe I was like trying to hurry up or something. I don't know. But anyways, so I did that, and then I did break one other glad hand. I drove like an hour and a half south to pick up a dumpster, and right as I'm making my corner to get into the place to pick up the dumpster, the glad hand just cracked in half, and I was a sitting duck. I couldn't move, because once you lose air, the brakes are set. So, anyways, I don't know. This is gonna be a short episode. I'm really almost home here, so I just wanted to definitely put something out. I know there's not a lot of interesting shit going on, but I think I did a pretty good job of wrapping up the weekend and today. Tomorrow I get to teach a different guy, which this is a guy I've worked with before. He knows what the fuck he's doing. I ain't teaching him shit. but he's just got to go through the process with each piece of equipment to be certified trained or whatever. I don't know what the fuck that means. But anyways, so we're gonna tomorrow. I'm gonna get to the shop. We're gonna grab a tanker, take it up to St. Joe, grab a load of waste, take it to the landfill, dump it out, go back to the shop. Then we're gonna grab the winch truck again, go over to the same place I went to today, and move the other frac tank 40 feet ahead. So I don't even know if he's gonna get a full training because I will do a full training with him only because he needs to be trained on how to do it. But technically, I don't need to have the frac tank all the way up on the truck to move it. I can get it connected up, and we can be in and out in 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. But I might just go through the whole process with him. Also, if I'm got to drive an hour out to the place for 5 minutes worth of work that I could have done today, I could have picked it up and moved it today since I had the truck out there. But so we're gonna move that frac tank, and then we're gonna come back and do something else. I forget what it was, but he said he's got another job for me to do at the. Oh, we got to go pick up some barrels. So that'll be a good time. Go pick up some fucking barrels. Anyways, keep all 18 down. Adios. I'm hot as fuck. I'm rolling these windows down. Bye-bye.